I would overreact, man. I was like take little things and turn them into stuff that it's like, why are you overreacting? And it was just a special place. All the staff there were ex-drug addicts. So you want to talk about mentorship?
Yeah.
Like I learned at 17 the value of getting around people that had been there before. Prior to that, man, when I was sitting there with a psychologist, a therapist, a rehab person, I'm like judging them so hard.
Sure. Like you don't know my situation.
They don't. Yeah. I just couldn't even deal with it. I remember many times we were doing like family therapy, and I would freak out at the therapist, and I'm like, "You have no idea. Like, tell me about yours. Like, tell me what." And they were like, "This isn't about me. This is about you." I go, "I can't even talk to you." And like, I go to this place. I almost left a couple times. I mean, they built it in the middle of nowhere, so far in the middle of the woods that if you run away, and many kids did, that like everybody lived on that street. It was like 100 miles away from the main highway. The people knew you were a kid from Portage. Like they didn't pick you up. You had to walk. Most of the kids started and turned around. And luckily, this place existed because it saved my life.
Wow, man.
And it was at the end of that program, I was helping Rick, the maintenance guy. It was built in an old church camp, and we were cleaning out one of the cabins that we never used, and there was this room, and inside was an old computer and a yellow book right next to it it said Java programming. It was like a Ziff Davis book, if I remember correctly. And I just opened it up thinking like, you know, computer programming, you think it's ones and zeros or friggin' hieroglyphics, like, but it read like English. It literally, if you look at JavaScript or whatever, it's like if this, then that. You know, case. And I was just like, boot the computer up and follow chapter 1 of this book. And it took me about 20 minutes, but I got the computer to say, hello world. And I literally was like, you're old enough to get this. I thought maybe I was the Doogie Howser of computer programming, right? Like I was like, oh, maybe all the stuff I went through is because my brain's wired differently.
Do you think it was? Do you think it is?
It's got, I mean, I think what I've learned since then is we can develop anything.
Yeah.
But I think so I know I wasn't a great programmer. Later on in life, I met those 10X programmers and they're beautiful minds. I'm not one of them, but it didn't matter because I believed it. Yeah. So I became obsessed. It became my new addiction. I like got out and I told my dad about it. And I was thinking of doing 2 things in career, either botany, maybe you can figure out why. Prior to that, I may have been into gardening and, or computers. And my dad, very sage advice. He says you should have a garden as a hobby and really lean into this computer stuff. This is 97. So I get out and get introduced to this like little thing at the time called the internet at the most perfect time. Yeah. And that's been my journey. So like I'm here because people like Brian and all the staff at Portage and, you know, I believe my creator showed up when I needed him. And the thing I'm most proud of is that I still go back every year. I'm literally going next week.
Oh, really?
Dude, I go back. When I was living closer, I'd go back 3 times a year, every cohort. I tell my story, sit down and talk to them. And my commitment always to just those kids. And I can't extend this externally because there's enough of them over the last 25 years since that's happened where I'm working with a lot of people. But I tell them, get out, stay sober. 1 year. Circle back. And when you do, tell me what your dreams are. Yeah. And I will put everything, and I've got some resources behind it to help them. And it is some of the most, I think it's why I'm here, man.
That's beautiful, man. Hey.
Yeah. All the other stuff, man, the business stuff, it's cool.
Yeah.
I don't think that's why I'm here.
Oh, that's amazing. Do you have any advice for parents that are maybe listening to this who they see their kids going down that path?
Yeah.
Like, what do they do when they see their kid in the wrong crowd? You know, gardening, just what gardening, gardening, and what do they do? I mean, how do you stop that? Just
it's so tough, dude. Like, because I'm public now, and what's crazy is I didn't ever share my story for 15 years. So imagine I'm going through the world, building software companies, exiting, investing, speaking, raising millions of dollars, and nobody knew that story. Not even my fiance at the time. I share that because as soon as I got public about it, all of a sudden I'm getting these calls, the parents. Yeah. And I would always take it. I remember one time I was at the gas pump and my friend literally called me and says, my neighbor's kid is in trouble. They're beside themselves. He just got arrested again. Can you take the call? And I was like, absolutely. And I get on the call with the mom. And I could tell right off the bat that the challenge, and no parent wants to hear this, but the problem is not sometimes the kid, it's the parent.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was like asking her about the situation. She's like, he's been arrested twice, and now he's telling me if I don't pick him up and bail him out, he's going to kill himself. And I go, did he say that last time? And she's like, yeah. And I go, did you go bail him out? Of course. Don't. When I went to prison the first time, my dad, and I have 2 boys today, he said to me, and I can't even imagine how hard that was for him to say this, but he said to me, when he came to visit me the first time, he goes, if you ever go back when you get out, I can't do this. I won't be able to visit you. It's too hard on me. So it's not missed on me how much a parent wants to help their kids. But I know for me, I kind of needed him to say that to understand how serious it was. And in his way, show me how much he cared. And true to his word, the second time, dude, 6 months I was there, he didn't come visit me once.